Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Another very, very hot day. The extended UK heatwave marathon continues. Oh, it's not as hot right now, so they say. I've been out on it. It's blistering. Anyway, folks, the Odyssey. Yes. One of the most controversial movies, most divisive movies we've had in recent times. There's been plenty, I know, but this one, the casting, the armour, the ships, the everything, the interpretation, even before anyone had seen the film, all their haters were out. I know, because I was one of them, a little bit. I have my reservations about certain casting elements. And then I saw the film, and wow, I loved it. Not perfect, nowhere near perfect. A lot of faults to it, to be honest with you. Once you've slept on it and thought about it, which is a great thing. And that's the rub, folks. You do keep thinking about this movie, whichever camp you might be in. Hate it, oh, wrong, Nolan, ooh, nasty, bad boy. Or you love it. A fabulous film, epic, magisterial, can't say masterpiece. Some people are saying that. It's too early, you can't say a masterpiece just yet. But and I don't think it is, but it's just a great, great film. It's wonderful, cinematic, filmic entertainment, writ large. You see IMAX, it couldn't get larger. Unless you go 70mm, of course, which I'll be seeing in a few days' time. 70mm. Anyway, I loved it. But not only was the casting and the film and the interpretation controversial and, splitting, the camp, the score as well. The score. Now, I'll be honest that Chris Nolan did not help himself with his comments about the score. Ludwig Göransson, Sinners and Oppenheimer, he does the score for this movie. You're hearing it now, and we'll be discussing this at length, and you're going to hear lots of it. Now, he did say, this is Chris Nolan, they didn't have orchestras back in ancient Greece, so we're not going to have one now either. And of course that opened up the floodgates. Didn't have American accents either. They didn't say dad and daddy. They didn't say all this and look like that. They didn't have plastic armour, did they? Anyway. It was a bit of a silly thing to have said, to be honest. And also saying that, there's been no score like this ever before. There's been plenty of scores like this before. Using ethnic percussion, using gongs and being atonal and just really ancient sounding and bizarre, minimalistic perhaps, pounding drum beats, wailing voices. We've had it all before. That said, this score is extraordinarily emotive, unusual and beautiful at the same time. And I've loved it. I got the score before the film dropped, before we saw the film. So I'd listened to it several times already. And then I could see how it played against the imagery. And and it worked. Now, as well as I do, Nolan's movies are thunderous in their soundscape to almost ridiculous levels. It is true. But he admits that he knows it. I don't like how loud some of his stuff goes. And in this film, you have the Cyclops. Oh, by the way, there'll be spoilers here. The Cyclops, gets stabbed, and he's only got one good eye, and then he stab him in it. The little bastards. Odysseus and his crew, stab him in his one good eye, and his wailing, shrieking, agonized, screams are absolutely, decibels, and you're like, oh god, your ears are bleeding, and but he likes pounding stuff. He likes, almost, an increasing metronomic beat, bum 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 bum, to grow over the sequence and become really, really, massively you're submerged in it, you're battered by it. He likes to do that. The Dark Knight trilogy had all this, Dunkirk had this, and it's what he does. It's the way he likes to layer his sound textures on. And also, because he's used Hans Zimmer a fair bit, and James Newton Howard, who worked with Hans Zimmer. But he likes to bring his composers on board right from the word go. I haven't even written the film yet. His brother Jonathan didn't write this one, although we all know that he would have had a hand in the finished screenplay. But Chris Nolan himself wrote this, apparently. But he brings the composer on board straight away. So look, here's the script. Here's my casting choices. Here's my ideas for it. This is this is how I want it to be. It's going to be, in this particular case, I want it to be earthy. I want it to be ancient. It's got to sound like nothing else. I don't want an orchestra because they didn't have orchestras back in ancient Greece. So I want ancient instruments, Grecian instruments. And Ludwig Göransson was massively on board with this. And I think that's a great thing. So they don't temp track the movies by playing other people's music from different movies to get people in. They play it on set sometimes, music from another film, to get that mood, and then that other composer for that movie will come in and we'll hear the temp tracks, or probably had a hand in putting the temp tracks in there. And then what happens is those temp tracks become sort of indelible with the sequence in question. So you're like, well, I've got to take that out, excise that, scalpel it out, and then compose my own. But I've got that in my head. So even some of the greatest composers will fall foul of this and start composing their own music, which is just emulating someone else's. So Nolan doesn't do that. So brings your composer on board right from the word go, from organically generic, from the roots upwards. You're involved in this, and the film and the soundtrack will evolve together. That's what he's done with this. And Ludwig Göransson went out and he found, I think, 35 bronze gongs, maybe more, and a lyre. I'm a lyre for a living, a lyre, which is an old, ancient Grecian stringed instrument. Back in the day, it's kind of U-shaped, and it has like a cross piece. Back in the day, back in the ancient times, it had like, I think 5 to maybe 7 strings. But modern times, you can have 20, 25, 26, 27 strings on it. And the aulos or the orlos, which is a double reed, double flute. Basically, I'm doing this because it would sit in your gob, you'd hold it up like that, and these two pipes would go out like that. And you've seen it before in the film 300, as Leonidas leads his men out to the gates of Thermopylae, the hot gates. You do see, in front of them, you've got this, you always get a minstrel sort of thing, a bard, and he's there giving it loads on this thing. So that's the instrument that they use in this. Now, Nolan and Göransson both said, well, we had to remake these things. I'm a bit confused about that because we couldn't find any of the ancient ones. Well, I'm pretty certain that there's a lot of very, very old historical lutes and lyres and what's the other one called again? I forgot what it's called now. The aulos or orlos. That's the flute thing. They must exist, but no, what they did, they got these experts in to replicate these old instruments. The aulos, you can't get the old reeds for them, and I know that, but there's a modern equivalent, so that's what they've done. So they've rebuilt these things and then obviously incorporated them into the movie score, which has voices, wailing, thunder. It has sort of a warped out sort of sound effects, so it kind of warbles and gets a bit hiss and distortion. What else have you got in there? Oh, massively sustained cymbals, which have a brilliant sort of prolonged, heavy sound, a sizzling sort of sound, which makes you shiver when you hear it. What else was there? Loads of ancient pots and pans, which they bash, tap, scrape with old bronze ladles and things. Like, they've got all these oldie weldy stuff, just that make clangorous, clamorous sounds, timorous effects, which sound old and ancient. And then you're hearing gongs now. We'll play some tracks and we'll go through them. But yes, I've said, you can hear that, all that timpani, all metallic. That's like metal pieces and bronze pieces hanging down on strings and being tapped and like just running across them and getting this sort of glissandi effect, which is wonderful. It is very, very ancient sounding. Now, again, to come back to what Nolan said, they didn't have orchestras back in ancient Greece. Well, look at Conan the Barbarian, or rather listen to Conan the Barbarian, because Basil Polidorus, who scored that movie and its sequel, Conan the Destroyer, he used old instruments but created, even with a modern orchestra, created a sound which was so ancient sounding and pre-history altogether, an entirely different offshoot of human evolution. This the Sumerian age, the Conan the Barbarian, and that music, although with an orchestra, is incredible, and it's still to this day, alongside Alex North's score for Dragon Slayer, it is still, those two scores are the most ancient sounding which I've heard. And then this comes along, and this sits alongside that without a doubt, those two without a doubt. It has that sort of that timbre of antiquity, and it's exciting, it's intoxicating, it's lyrical, it's beautiful, and so all the naysayers who hate it, it's just a wall of sound, and there's no melodies, there's no themes. There actually is themes, or should I say are themes. They do sort of mutate and sort of evolve as the film goes on, but there's recognisable pieces which will reoccur, and and they're beautiful. They're really they're used expertly, and there's certain scenes which really hit me where I live, and they worked. And you'll hear, I'll play a few of these. So what else did you've got the I'm never certain how to pronounce this. It's a wind machine that orchestras use and have used since the days of the early days of opera. A wind machine, and it's like a tombola. It's all like layers and layers in a drum, a circular drum, and with a crank you go, and it makes a wind sound. In case you didn't know what wind sounded like, and it's called, I've written this down, I don't know how you pronounce it, the aeolophone. There's A's and E's and O's and then lephone after it. Aeolophone, windy machine, and that's what they used in this, and you do hear it. Göransson made a joke about we sent people down to the basement and had them smash and hit the ancient air conditioning unit, and people fell for that. No, they had a wind machine to create this effect. Hitting an air conditioning unit, oh, for real, By the way, cheers you all. The Owlos as well, which is the double flute basically. It sounds like an oboe. It also sounds like, if used in that way, it sounds like bagpipes. It's got that deep, throaty, bellicose sort of sound, which is full of rich depth and a real sort of sphincter tingling sort of, you know, enunciation. That's what we're looking for. So anyway, let's play a little bit of this. Okay, well, we've gone through the score up until like track 6, I think we're on now. But here's a bit of a niceness. That boom, that's my stupid sound system. Whenever you turn the volume up, it goes boom. This is Ithaca. This is before Odysseus, Matt Damon, goes out to fight the Trojan War. Big mistakey. But he explains why, you know, he has to go. Agamemnon, you know, it's trade routes. Oh, Menelaus loses his wife, you know, obviously, you know, Helen. You know. But, you know, that's an excuse for Agamemnon to go out there and make war on Troy. It's just beautiful. It's almost, you know, a paradise. That's the lyre. It's a harp shaped like that, and the two pieces go outwards. I mentioned Conan before. Remember Conan going about like about thoughts of doing a snake called two snakes like that, coming together. Well, these go outwards, and it's really important as well because it plays a part in the story. Its sound effect is what Odysseus and his mighty bow, his hunting bow, to give a warning to his prey because he's a man of honour. Well, that comes into a fair bit of jeopardy in his Odyssey. But you hear that he will do that to let his prey know that he's coming for him, to give him a chance. And in the film where you see him do that, bong, that is the lyre being used. This is all the lyre, this. It's plucked or a plectrum, but I think in the film, for this score, they've plucked it. How beautiful is that? Oh, the score is just bombast, bum, bum, bum. I present to you this. Delicate, thoughtful, reflective. Göransson used a lot of synth as well. And this is the thing where with Hans Zimmer I kind of despair and throw my hands in the air and oh God. Hans Zimmer, and I love a lot of his scores, but take for example Black Hawk Down, a film I adore, a score I adore, and but what he did for the track Tribal War, and I've got the full extended version of that. It's fucking excellent. He went around the world and he got all the best percussionists and drummists from every country, every culture, every nation, every creed, and brought them all together and had them jamming together. Just hit your drums, whatever drums they wear, kangaroo skins, you know, buffalo hide, whatever it was, human skin, just beat the hell out of it, and I'm going to record you, which he did, and then ran it through he sampled it all, put it through a synthesizer, and came out with his version. I don't know about you, but I think like you got all these guys, and then you sampled it. Like, you just record them going for it. Wouldn't that have been even better again? And of course for Dark Knight Rises, you know, for Bane's chant, which is awesome. Let's be honest. He went to Wembley Stadium and recorded all the 70,000, 85,000 strong crowd, chanting Ishi, Basha, Ishi, Basha, all that stuff from Dark Knight Rises. And the voices were all there. And then he took that back and sampled it and condensed it down. You're like, you had the perfect raw thing there. That literally a crowd raw in the raw. And you still have to go and clean it up and sample it and all that. It's what I don't get. But having said that, I still love the end result. So go figure. What do I know? But Göransson also uses banks of synthesizers to embellish, deepen, widen the sound field and just make it really. You watch the film, oh my god! Now that's not down to Göransson, especially. Nolan likes things ramped up to Spinal Tap levels. Nothing. Nolan likes things ramped up. Let's turn it up to 18, 19, 20. And my god, it's a wallop and a half. But listen to this. This is Telemachus. Tom Holland as Odysseus' son. So these are long, thoughtful stretches of music that you can hear you're only hearing it, via whatever recording device my system puts out there and YouTube will spew out. But I'm hearing this and it's throbbing, it's thrumming away, So you can hear the scrapings in the background. There's scraping going on. They're gongs and they're ends, and they're all weird old bronze items just being scraped. Maybe your fingernails across them. I don't know. Nolan didn't want to do, and he kept on coming back in all his arguments about why he did this kind of score. It's up to him. He hasn't got to argue. It's his idea. That he didn't want a 1950s style romantic lush score. He kept saying the 50s, but the 60s were doing it as well. He didn't want a huge romantic, lots of lush orchestral strings and themes running through it. Didn't want all that. And lots of horns and brass section. Didn't want all that kind of stuff. And in a way, I think for this film, he's quite right, because it's very primal. You can hear the voices in the background there, the choral sort of embellishments. There is a lot of choral stuff there. Now, I do not know if there was a full choir singing. I don't know. I haven't checked. Don't know. But I'm kind of inclined to believe that it's whatever has been used is synthesized and been brought in via sampling. But it still sounds great though. And of course you have Travis Scott. Is it Travis Scott? Yeah, it is. Who plays the bard in this, and he's the bard in Ithaca, Odysseus' palace, where Penelope is now beset by 150 fucking suitors who want her hand in marriage. Odysseus can't be coming back. He's dead. He's died in Troy. He's died in the sea on the way back home. But you must pick a husband to be the new king of Ithaca and all this. To be honest, I love this. You ever been in a jungle but they got temples? You hear this all the time. Gongs and sort of like shakings, and you're never sure what the hell they're using. Is it someone's skeleton? It's a row of bones hanging from a tree, and they're wafting their sacrificial sword across it, and the ribs are rattling. You don't know. So, we're going to get to the pounding stuff, which Nolan and Zimmer and Göransson certainly make a huge element out of. But it works. We'll get to those. It's coming, folks. Because action scenes for movies, and look, how many times have I been playing movie scores for you and playing certain set piece bits of music from an action sequence, Mad Max 2, Busting, Dirty Harry, whatever, and I really saying how propulsive and energetic it is, and you get that with this. But in genuine times of, you're fighting, you're in a war situation, there's bullets flying, you've got to move, you've got to hide, duck down, get someone to cover, then you've got to go out and go forward again. If you had a soundtrack playing, I swear to God, having been through this, if you had a soundtrack playing in your head, which you don't, all you hear is your own heartbeat really badly. And what's the heartbeat? Boom, 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 boom. And that is what you get in the action scenes of this score for this movie. And that is primal. It's human nature. It's what you have any intimidating scenario you find yourself in, any sort of conflict on the street, on a bus, on a train, your heart starts doing that you're going to hear that music. And that's why in the scenes of the Siege of Troy and other action scenes and fight sequences, the intensity is brought out by Göransson by pounding incessant percussion, boom, 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 getting faster and faster and more insistent. And that, I'm afraid, folks, that is genuinely, that's how you hear and feel and act in those scenarios. So I've got to come down the side of it for that as well. Oh well, everyone loves Jerry Goldsmith's, flamboyant, bombastic scores. James Horner, of course, scored Troy with lots of wailing female voices. A bit of a cliche for this sort of genre. And I adore Troy. I've been asked a lot in the last few days since seeing the Odyssey, well, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer Troy or the Odyssey? Well, I've been quite open about this. I prefer Troy. I do, because Troy's an action war movie. The Odyssey is not that story. I may love the Odyssey, which I do, but Troy's the one I'll always go back to and rewatch again and again and again, because that's the glorious side of history and mythology, and I love it, and I love James Horner's score as well. And it's interesting that he will use pounding sort of tribal drum beats as well, for the fight between Achilles and Hector especially. So here's a theme which we care. This is called Let's Go Home. It's earlier on, right? Troy's over, let's go home now. But we're going a different route from Menelaus and Agamemnon. So that is the theme which everyone seems to be ignoring. It should be called the home theme. almost Vangelis style backing of, probably electronic synthesized organ effect in the background there, giving it some extra oomph. Right, okay. Look, because you just heard that there, I'm gonna go straight on to. I'm gonna massively flash forward. When Odysseus ends up on Odysseus, I can't remember the name of the island, but where you've got Calypso, played by Charlize Theron, a goddess who's lonely, just wants someone to come and join her. So when he washes up on her beaches, and it's a paradisical island. Is that a word? Paradisical? I think it is. It'll do for now. There's no war. There's no, and he won't age. Stay with me. So she feeds him. Lotus flowers, mixes them into stuff, and to make him forget where he's come from, and his past, the war, his family. Stay with me. But he keeps going out to the beach and looking at the sea and remembering things. And in the end, well, in the book, the gods say, "Look, let him go. Just fucking let him go." And it's a tragic story for her. The film doesn't really labour the point about her predicament, but in a great sequence, after seven long years of shagging a gorgeous goddess, and he could stay forever doing this, but he realised no. Mary comes back, and he's got this little pendant, this little necklace thing, bracelet thing, brooch thing, whatever it is, of Penelope, his wife, Anne Hathaway, and he just says I've remembered. I'm going to get the lines wrong because I've only seen it once, and I can't remember how Matt Damon says these lines, but it's basically, I remember, I have a wife, I have a son, I have a family. And the sequence when he realises, and she kind of, okay, you've made the choice. I've tempted you with immortal life and loving me on an island of peace. Imagine how boring that would be, and I mean it. It would be boring. He wants to go back home to the people he genuinely loves. And so he makes his decision, and in the film she goes, okay, there's some bits of wood washed up, you can use them to make a raft. She's a goddess. She could perhaps probably use a godly father who is, I've forgotten who the father is, doesn't matter. Could ask him for help and all that, and he just makes a ramshackle raft, and he's getting buffeted by waves. He's drowning half the time, but he will end up back in Ithaca. Anyway, after all this Odyssey. But you heard the Let's Go theme. Well, let's go on to right. This is God, I love this track. This is where he realises and he remembers everything. Beard down there now. You'll get percussion will come in, ancient percussion, to emphasize his realization. Where he realises you get a montage of him putting the raft together and then lying on it, he wouldn't survive. It's full of bits of driftwood and he's lying on it getting buffeted by waves and it's coming over his head and all that Now you've heard that theme before in Let's Go. So Let's Go Home, that's That's the theme. And you hear it again. I said spoilers will be. You hear that sort of, they're shells, they're rattling shells there. Okay, this is the end now. He's got back home. He's killed all the suitors. I am, Odysseus. He's like, where have you been? You said you're popping out to the chippy to get a meal, and 20 years later you come back. By the way, your dog's died. But they had this dream of chasing the sun, the escaping sun across the horizon. So this is them. He's come back home. He's won the day. He's won his kingdom back. But he gives his kingdom to his son, Telemachus. And like, right, we're going to go into exile. We're going to honour all the dead, all my men who died. We're going to sail to the west. And of course, who copied that? J.R.R. Tolkien. So all them, we said there's no themes in this. You just heard this theme 3 times in 3 pivotal sequences. In variations, but the impact is still the same. Beautiful, haunting, this one especially. I will nip this in the bud before it does descend into the final track, which I cannot stand. I'll be honest about this. Chris Nolan co-wrote. There is a song at the end of this movie with Travis Scott and obviously Ludwig Göransson and Chris Nolan wrote this. It's awful. It doesn't fit the film at all, and I'm not going to play it. It's so fucking bad. Like recently, I reviewed massively Evil Dead Burn, and that had a great, thunderously epic, nasty, grueling, relentless score. Like the film itself is relentless and brutal and nasty. But it ended on a fucking French rap piece of crap. And this film ends similarly. It's a bit more gentle, but I don't like it at all. And sadly, it's beginning here because you've got Travis Scott coming in already. But let's go for some. You've not had any of the relentless beat stuff, have you? Troy, the siege of Troy. They're in the horse thing. The horse thing. The most memorable thing about the mythology of Troy. They found what they think is Troy. This war is if it genuinely happened, it wasn't 10 years, and you had Achilles and all that, and you Odysseus himself, like Menelaus. It's based on events that probably did happen, but nowhere near the level that that mythology bestows it. Listen to this. Dunkirk had this because, like, obviously, Nolan loves this relentless build, a beat, a rhythm. You've got that voice and so that beats, that's synthesized. You can hear the gongs and the ends and whatever percussion they're rubbing stuff against, And you hear the it's shimmering. Bronze don't rust, you know. There's no iron in bronze. Iron rusts. Bronze don't rust. This was the Bronze Age. So, in this sequence, I know the film tells it how to sync different time scales and that, like. They've got out the Wood Norse and they're trying to open the gates of Troy, and they're getting pinned down as they killed a lot of Trojan guards, but the Trojan army's suddenly waking up and like, right, we're going to fight back, but they've got to get the gate open, and it's a really super intense sequence. And you're on the side of the Greeks at this stage. That will change when you go back to Troy and you see what they actually genuinely did. Well, what the legend tells us they did. But it just builds and builds and builds. Like, kind of get the bolt from the gate, like Skull Island, King Kong. It's not over. Because you will return to what happens once they've opened the gates and all the Greeks come in, with Agamemnon there, like Darth Vader striding through, and all the hell that they unleash upon a city of mostly innocent civilians. And of course, that's where you find out the revelation about Athena, played by Zendaya. Another piece of casting which people are, oh no, God no. Barely in it. She appears as a vision to Odysseus, advising him and also chastising him, warning him, and then, he didn't listen, taking the piss out of him basically, but haunting him. But that's the goddess Athena. But she takes the form of a Trojan princess in a palace, in a temple, who is beheaded by the Greeks, by Odysseus' men, basically. So she comes back in that form to haunt Odysseus. Like, but the Trojans wear shockingly nasty armour, as in nasty bad. Remember when Joaquin Phoenix is oh god, who was he in Gladiator? I forgot his bloody name now. Doesn't matter. He wears the Frosty the Snowman armour. Well, the Trojans wear that white armour. I'll be honest, I didn't like that at all. But they wear very Greek style helmets. The helmet you see over there. But it's white. See, it's a soundscape, this sort of thing. People go, oh, that's not music at all. Well, it is. You're creating sound out of instruments or things, and you're creating, music. You may not view it as, well, there should be a rhythm, there should be melody. But I've just explained to you, when you're in a situation like this, where you're on edge, you're running somewhere, or you're running away from somewhere. This film has a lot of people running away from things. Your blood and your heartbeat will bum 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 bum. It'll go. That's how it goes, and you feel it, you hear it, but you feel it as well. You feel it in your chest, you feel it in your ears. I keep pointing to my ears, but you feel the blood pounding in your ears and in your skull. When it stops, You're dead. You're dead, baby. You're dead. So you've got elements here where you think, oh, that's someone with an electric guitar. It's not. It's not. That'll be synth stretching out just a tone. But listen to the this is Last Dragonians. This is the island where they arrived there. They've had shit everywhere they've gone to. Everywhere they've gone. No, and the sea's no better. They go to the sea, there's massive storms. They end up on an island and they're like, oh my god, there's giants, there's witches, there's whatever, there's a fucking cyclops. And but here, they go, oh, this is a lovely place, there's trees. And they go, oh, looks alright. Let's go and get some food, shall we? And he encountered this, what they think is a little lad, who turns around and stands up and like starts laughing and pointing at them. And they're going like, that's just a child. And they're going like, if that's the child, what are the parents like? And then some of the Last Dragonians come up, who just happen to be ready and waiting in suits of armour, who then, you know, besiege our dwindling crew of Odyssey's men. Several ships were, although most of them will be destroyed in this sequence. And these fuckers come marching at them like, you know, 20 feet tall. They're like, oh, fuck. But yeah, the trees move. It's almost like Evil Dead. But the trees, Ash, they know. Don't you see? They're alive. The trees, people are running and the trees move around like almost like bamboo cages, and they get trapped and they can't get out, and these fuckers will come in and you don't see it in the film, but the Last Dragonians are cannibals. They're gonna eat the ones they capture. Simple as. And so a lot of them get back to the ships and start, you know, row, you fuckers, row your boat gently down. Yeah. But you see, in a great shot, and it's almost casually done. You see these giant Last Dragonians tipping all the other, you know, Greek ships over and drowning everybody and dragging them back and all that. Like, so they lose a hell of a lot of men in that sequence. But that is the Last Dragonians. You get a lot. See, in a film which is like what, 2 hours and 50 minutes, something like that. The official score is 119 minutes long, so 2 hours of score basically. Obviously there's a lot more because the film is pretty much wall to wall music. There's a lot more. You've got. Oh, hang on. Let's go to Cersei. This, of course, is Samantha Morton as Cersei, the witch. The witch who turns visitors into flock, into pigs, into sheep, into deer, into lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! Yeah, does it all. And her sister's there as is it a raven or a rook or a crow? I can't remember now. Everyone's going, oh, Kilted, you should have paid attention. A black bird in a cage. It's her sister, twin sister. And she does all the manipulation on the men because, you know, they've had so many bad experiences with Odysseus, you know, who won the Battle of Troy for them. But then, like, your decision now to take the slow route back to China, you know, the slow route back to Ithaca, and we've been lost at sea. We've been landing on a Cyclops Island, the sirens and the Scylla and all that, a big tentacled monster. We've met all these fucking things. We're losing men left, right, and centre. The Last Dragonians. We're knackered. We're hungry. Well, you know, they say to him, like, it's almost like a mutiny. In fact, he says to them, it's just a mutiny. They go like, look, why didn't you stay on the boat? Because you're a fucking Jonah. he's King Odysseus. Like, you stay here, and we're gonna go and search. You don't want you with us because you're bad juju, you're bad luck. So he goes up a different direction, and he hunts a deer, and he does the twang of his bow to let the deer know that, you know, I'm hunting you, so I'm going to give you a chance. And he does get the deer, and when he finds the body of the deer, it's the body of a man, a nude man with an arrow in it. So he then realizes, oh shit, all these animals, whatever's here, they're people being transformed. And Samantha Morton's Cersei manipulates all these, in a pure body horror sequence, manipulates all their faces and gives them, you know, big piggy ears, whiskers and all that, and big piggy snouts, little piggy tails, and it makes, you know, a big, you know, a ton of pigs out of them. And then Odysseus arrives, but he's got a hidden dagger. When they arrive at their place, they're meant to leave the weapons outside. It's all Zeus's law and all this. Like, the whole film's about Zeus's law. And but Odysseus wins the day because he's going to throttle the bird, her sister. You know, turn my men back and we'll leave. I'm sorry about any, you know, infringements my men made. You know, but please let us go. But she does. And it is a very, very haunting, bizarre sequence. I don't think it's quite as bad as some people have made out. Oh my god, it'll never leave you. Well, I don't know, I've forgotten half of it myself already. But it is a good, powerful sequence though. Can you hear the female sort of like... Now, I don't know for a fact, but I'm also willing to bet that may be Samantha Morton's voice. Just saying. Don't know. So you can hear all this. There's lots of elements where it's like someone is like, with big hands, is manipulating a metal sheet or a metal door and grinding it, and like... See what I mean? Lots of metallic groans and shrieks. I think it's deliciously atmospheric. Who does not love clanging of bells? How, you know, ethereal. It can be ecclesiastical, it can be sinister, it could be doom-laden, it could be hopeful. A wedding, a funeral. It can convey all of that, depending on the scenario, obviously. I'm out. God damn it. I'm going to move on because I'm painfully aware that time is now running out for me. Right, so you've got Hades. They go across Oceanus, and they're told, like, look, you know, if you go to Hades, you'll learn a hell of a lot more. So they will go to Hades and they will meet James Remar, Ajax from the Warriors. How about that? A bit of, you know, sort of tying in Ajax from, of course, the Battle of Troy, who dies. But James Remar played Ajax, you know, and in the Warriors, and he plays this sort of slithery, horrible prophet thing with half his face hidden by a hood and a cowl, who will say, look, you know, your men are all going to die. You alone, to Odysseus, will survive. But they will meet, now in the book, in the poem, they will meet Achilles, Agamemnon, Sinon, and a load of others of his crew will be there as well, and the men that died during the battle of the siege of Troy. In the film, I think you hear Achilles' name get mentioned once. You don't see him as a shade, but you see Sinon, Elliot Page, and you hear about the sacrifice and the betrayal that was made, and you hear about Agamemnon's death. He went back home to it because his wife is Clytemnestra, which sounds like a female fungal disease, and Clytemnestra, you know, well, you get some cream for that. And who's Helen's sister, Helen of Troy, and played by Lupita Nyong'o, who's barely in the movie at all, but plays Helen. It's a great moment when John Bernthal, says that Telemachus, who goes to try and find what happened to his dad and all that, goes to Menelaus' palace, and he's like, oh yeah, your dad was fantastic, blah blah blah. Built the horse here, wonderful. He took Troy and all that, fantastic. But we fought for this, and this face launched a fleet, and he turns her around like that, and she's scarred down to the side of the face, which I thought was a brilliant thing to have done, brilliant move. You know, the face that launched 1,000 ships and all that, like, but well, look at her now. Anyway, but she also plays her sister Clytemnestra, who Agamemnon sacrifices their daughter to the seas to ensure fair weather to travel across the seas to attack Troy, and she's never forgiven him. So he comes back after 10 years of fighting. Hello, my darling. He's like, and a horrible shriek of fucking sheer vengeance. Takes him out, like, it's great scene. And so Agamemnon tells Odysseus what happened to him, like, 'cause Odysseus is like, you're dead? You're dead as well? Yeah, you won't believe what happened to me. He's basically saying, like, watch out going home. Your home's not what you remember it. It won't be the same. There's a lot to digest with the movie, but for a book which has stood for like 2,500 years, 3,000 years, and has formed the basis of every other story known to man. Okay, you got that thing called the Bible. You got that as well, like parables and farables and follicles and bollicles and all that kind of stuff, like. But the Odyssey and the Iliad, which is a tale of war, the Iliad, which is the siege of Troy, a song of Troy, fire in Troy, or whatever it is. But the Odyssey is the way it explores human life, human society, and how to destroy society and how to bring it back, how to find hope and prosperity out of despair and decay. It's about everything. There's horror, the Cyclops, the monsters, and the Lastragonians, and all that kind of weird stuff. But also heroism, wisdom, and going through hell, literally, to realise what really means the most to you and why you're going to fight to get your arse back home again. Because home is where the heart is, you know? So this is Hades. This is where they're telling him all this, basically, your actions. Because this is the thing about Odysseus. He creates the wooden horse. And this film at least shows what it would have been like inside the horse. Buried in the sand for days on end, waiting for the bloody Trojans to find it. You've got Sinon, who doesn't know they're in there, who's meant to be like, oh look, we left this. This is a gift for you guys and for the sea and for the gods. After all 10 years of war, and they kill Sinon. Like in the film, they kill Sinon anyway. And and then what are we going to do with this then? Now, in the meantime, Odysseus, Menelaus, and a whole host of other Greek warriors are in there, hemmed in, pissing and shitting on each other for days on end. And when the tide comes in, they're drowning. So you've got men, they're lying under the water with straws trying to breathe, but men are dying. And the Trojans finally, well, let's just take it back home then. So, and you see how they do it, which would have took days with rollers and ropes and fucking horses, and everyone's pulling this bloody thing out the sand. It's very like finding the Statue of Liberty at the end of Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes. Nolan did it on purpose to look like that. But there's a great moment where the Trojans are going, what are we going to do with this? Let's just burn it. And one of the guys inside just goes, oh shit, because you're like, oh my god, no. And they're trying to fucking shut up. Keep your fucking mouth shut. They're pinning him down. They drag it through and they're stabbing it with swords to make sure this. And one guy gets cut and he's like, they bring it in, and of course, they break out. But the revelation is that Odysseus, and even the film Troy does, massively depicts it far more graphically than this film does. The actual sacking of Troy, where everyone is raped and murdered and beheaded and hung, and it's Troy, the film Wolfgang Petersen. Don't forget, Chris Nolan was first one to direct Troy, but didn't think he had it in him. He was way younger and less experienced, didn't think he could do it, so he got passed to Wolfgang Petersen. And I've seen people say like, oh, he dodged a bullet there. Troy's magnificent. I've talked about it a lot in the last 6 months or so, in the run up to this film coming out. I'm a huge fan of Troy. It's got elements, it's pretty boy extravaganza, but you watch the director's cut, oh my god, it's a video nasty, it's fantastic, and Brad Pitt owns that movie, owns it. But anyway, I love it. But this, you will see and realise that Odysseus realises himself that my trick to burn down and bring down the walls of Troy and get us in there has led to the end of the world as we know it, the world entire, the civilization basically, because Zeus's law, you respect guests in your house. The whole film is about this. You respect guests in your house, and if you're a guest, you must respect, the homeowner, and it's a city. We gave them this gift, and then we went and destroyed them from the inside out, and we committed barbaric acts, war crimes as it be known now. So Odysseus has massive PTSD and guilt about this, and he will tell when he goes home. He will tell Penelope, who does not know that it's her own husband she's talking to. It's a huge leap, and why would you not just say, like, by the way, it's me. He's pretending to be a beggar. He takes on the name of Sinon as respect to Sinon for the sacrifice that Sinon made, and the deceit which he now knows, I led you to your death there. Anyway, and he goes back home after leaving Calypso, and he, in the guise of the beggar named Sinon, he will tell Penelope about, he'll give secrets away so that she knows that he's definitely telling the truth about Odysseus. He's alive. He'll be here soon. He's, by the way, it's me. No, in real life you go, look, it's me. Just shh. Gotta kill all those fuckers that are in our house now. Gotta kill all them. But let's just keep the ruse. But he doesn't do that. And it's all about like learning and unpeeling the guilt of yourself, your life. And Matt Damon does a bang up job doing it, like, and he delivers a brilliant speech about, like, you know, look, I hatched this plan, but in so doing, I completely destroyed our respect for Zeus's laws, and we gave a gift and we abused them and we destroyed them, and I can't live with myself. I've realised what I've done, the extent of what I've done, and all the people that fought with me. And this is not what he says. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember his speech, but you know, it's what the Odyssey is all about. And I've sent all these troops have gone back home, but they have all destroyed everything we believed in just to win a war, and they're going to go back home, and we've lost everything we believe, all the values we had, we've lost them all. And he said, I'm terrified of going home, because that home will not be what I remember it as being, because of what I've done. Everything's changed around me, and also I've changed. Will they even recognize me? Will they want to recognize me? And so he kind of tells her all this without saying who he really is. And then of course you get the finale of well, you know, they all want to have Penelope, only for the sake of like, the ownership of Ithaca. That's all it is. They don't love Penelope, and they're gonna kill Telemachus. I'll get his name right. Telemachus. They're gonna kill him. And when Odysseus arrives home, he realizes they've got a plan to get him when he comes back from seeing Menelaus. And learning about, like, Odysseus could still be alive, maybe not, who knows. Like, but this is what he did. Telemachus learns about the wooden horse from Menelaus, who was in the wooden horse with Odysseus. Anyway, so he knows there's a trap set for his own son. So he goes out there, meets his son in heavy guise, and kills these assassins, saves his son, and then, like, we're going back and we're gonna fucking kill all these twats who are in my house. And there's about 120 of these bully boy bastards, led by Robert Pattinson. But it's come to the crux. She has to marry someone. It's right on the cusp now. I can't delay it any further. It's been 10 years of this, by the way. And 10 years fighting, and then 10 years getting back home. 7 years in the arms of a Calypso, the nymph, the goddess nymph. Anyway, right, the test is, I'll marry the one who can string Odysseus' bow and fire an arrow through the 12 axes. This is what his party piece, you know. Some people do, like, you know, play the spoons, you know, or like make balloon animals. But no, he has to, like, string his mighty hunting bow and fire it through the 12 axes all lined up and hit the bullseye. And of course, no one can do it but the beggar, who they've all beaten up and abused. But it's Odysseus just taking it. No, and I'm gonna fuck you up, like. And he does. So this track playing behind all this is Odysseus telling Penelope all that they did, while she doesn't know it's him. But the next track is the trial of the bow. Gongs. And they all have a go, and they can't string it. They're like, and you know, I've got an old, a very, very old wooden yew medieval bow, longbow, English longbow here, and you've seen videos of me using that, and yeah, they're not easy to string unless you know what the hell you're doing. And for a good week or so, when I first got given it, I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't string that fucker at all. And then you realise, Oh no, you turn it the other way and you go against. Oh, it's easy now. Anyway, only Odysseus can string that bow. These all fuck up, they can't do it. And he does it, but he's still in the guise of the beggar. And what I said about the wang, which is the lyre, the old sort of ancient Greek stringed instrument, which they use for every time he does that with a bow. They use the lyre to do that. And I know we're cutting this fine now because certain people have just arrived who now want cups of tea and things. But as you guys know, timing is not my greatest strong suit. I won't be long, honestly. So they're trying on the bow, so now he's going to take his turn doing it. That's the lyre. Isn't that lovely? And then you're going to get the build up. Waiting. It's coming. And that's where he does it, and Penelope realizes, and then he fires, shoots. You don't fire an arrow, you shoot an arrow. And he does it. Do you hear the thunder? I can see that back, just backs at me. And suddenly, the all realizes it's him. They've locked the doors. He's going to kill them all, but they're going to fight. And this is very Dunkirk, I feel. And the fight escalates. There's one gets locked away upstairs in the armory. He starts smashing through the floor just to throw spears down to the suitors who were all downstairs. Robert Pattinson. Well, Odysseus is fucking battering everyone and killing everyone. You know, he's fucking giving it. And Telemachus fights this other guy upstairs and ends up killing him. But this is the sort of thing which detractors will cite. Oh, but just relentless. Boom, 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 boom. But you watch the sequence, it's as I've been explaining, when you're in a fight situation, this is what your heart is doing. So it captures that pell-mell frenzy of action, violence. You get all weird. They're the Owlun, you know, this double pipe thing. You know, we've had some great lyrical stuff, some lovely, soothing, sentimental beauty, and then you get this, and I love this just as much. It drives, gets faster. You betrayed Sinon. He remembers you with this little lottery stick. You put it in Robert Pattinson's mouth. Fucking have that. Have that. And I fucking punched him as well, like several times. And then out, stick it in, twist it, pull it out, lick it, stick it in again. Yeah, it's very tribal, it's very primal. So this track's called The Trial of the Bow / Vengeance. And it works exquisitely in the movie. And you will end up, we didn't even play Cyclops, we're not going to do it now because we haven't got time. But we'll end up with chasing the escaping sun. The happy ending. And it is very Lord of the Rings. It's going to the Grey Havens, you know. It's very similar, and J.R.R. Tolkien clearly used that, modelled his story upon so many elements from the Odyssey. Capture and bargaining. This film does not show how they escape from Polyphemus, the Cyclops, son of Neptune, because I've done a video on this beforehand. I know Polyphemus is not the only Cyclops on the island, and even they blind him, but they have a play on words. What is your name? He says to him. And Odysseus says my name, I'm nobody. So when they blind Odysseus, when they blind Polyphemus, who doesn't speak in this movie, but he does. They have a massive discourse with him. They make wine for him and do all sorts for him and all that. And when they blind him, you know, he's screaming and hollering, and all the other Cyclops on the island come round, and they pull the doorway back and all that, and they see the big stone doorway. They say, well, what happened to you? Oh no, they don't pull it away. He does that for them. Anyway, that's beside the point. And they escape underneath the sheep. They do that in the movie as well, like in this movie. So the escape is actually, you know, with the sheep. It's still pretty much like what Homer wrote. But they say to Polyphemus, what happened to you? Who did this to you? And Polyphemus goes, nobody did this to me. So they go oh, you're just mad. You've been out in the sun too long, you're drunk, you know, too much red wine. Yeah, a lot of red wine. And they all go and leave. It's like Bilbo with the riddle in the dark with Gollum. And so J.R.R. Tolkien got all that from Homer. But here's the end again, Well folks, there you go. That is another rather meaty, in-depth review of the film and the story itself, and also the score. I do recommend the score. The score comes out, might be out now, even on a double vinyl for those who are vinyl addicts. The CD is coming out as well, and the download is available. And I recommend it. Before we get to that fucking terrible song at the end, When I'm Home, which I just can't stand. You know, it's just one thing. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't fit the movie at all, and I just it's almost like a throwback to films where you've got like a song at the end during the end credits. But if you like it, you like it. You know, I just don't. So listen, this is Penelope. This is the second track. And you're already hearing that main theme. That theme that people are saying, there's no themes in it. You hear this now. I've just realised now. You hear this 1, 2, 3, 4 times in variations. But we'll end on another name. See? Same theme. And again, this is what gets me. And he remembers everything after the lotus flowers. He remembers everything now. Got a wife, got a son, got a family, got a home. I've got to go. He's got the little brooch pendant. It's not the Lion King, it's not that at all. It's the Liar King. Wang, 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 wang. Lovely. Well folks, I have been and always shall be Kilt-Man. So please, in the meantime and this ever, enjoy whatever Odyssey you may be on, and we're all on one in between time. Please keep it Kilted, keep it Celtic. I'm going to see you all later. Score's wonderful, film's wonderful. The film has historic box office opening. So, you know, all the naysayers eating crow, but they're not though, are they? They're doubling down. Oh, just stop. They've boxed themselves into a corner because they did so much, you know, shit throwing in the months beforehand, and now they've seen it and that the film's being really well received. They're kind of like, well, I can't say, oh, actually, I quite like it. They've got to keep on, you know, promulgating this idea that it's shit, it's still a bad movie. You people are all wrong if you're paying good money to see this. The internet. It is what it is. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. But not all of us talk out of them though. Anyway, I'm out of here. Ta-ra.